Hey guys, my name is Zach Revolucion and I'm gonna show you guys how to do your own relay box. Alright, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of YouTube videos as well, explaining how to do your own relay box, but I'm gonna show you the way I did it. I've been doing it for the past 10 years for all my cars, and it's really good for anyone who's going to do Nitrous or water meth injection, or additional auxiliary fan input, which requires a lot of battery ampere output. Alright, the first thing you want to do is to make sure to find a spot in your car where you're going to mount the relay box, because, well, you don't want to do all this and realize there's no place to mount them. You want to make sure to find a space where get them measured out. Like what I did was, I'm doing this for my Audi S4 B8. It's a 3.0 supercharged. It's a right hand drive car. So what I found was a nice spot right above the ECU box where it's approximately this size. So what I did was I got a styrofoam. For whoever is in Malaysia, you can just get this in Daiso. Cut them out to appropriate size, and from there you figure out how you're going to mount your relay, your ignition protected switch, and your terminal blocks. And I figured out this was the best solution, and I proceeded with it. And that way, you wouldn't have to worry doing all this and realizing that you can't mount them anywhere. Alright guys, before we go any further, I'm going to explain to you guys about relay. Relay is basically just a switch where you get direct battery power, but it's not going to run continuously until you actually start your car. So most of the time there's a power and the ground. This is the ground. This is the power where it's going to connect to your accessory or your ignition key. So unless you start your car, it's not going to power anything up. And as you know, most of these relay have a fifth wire in the middle here, which we won't really need to use it. We won't be using it, and I'm going to show you guys how to remove it. It's very simple actually. All you need is like a tool like this. See? Hold on. Sorry. All right. Sharp. Anything sharp. And you're going to poke it right here. See? Alright. You're just going to push. There's a pin there. And all you're going to do is, hold on. You're going to remove it. Oops. Yeah, there you go. And it's removed. See, what's holding the terminal is, can't really show you guys, but do you see? This pin right here? Yeah, this thing is the one that's holding it. So all you gotta do is push it in and just slip it out. So here I have is my relay box, custom relay box. I've done the wiring. I'm not gonna show you guys how to do it. I'm not gonna no one's gonna really watch it. It's pretty simple. I'll just guide you guys through. Don't mind these wirings, yeah. As you guys know, due to the COVID-19 and the virus, everything is in lockdown here. It's been a month, so I can't really get any supply as well. I only left 2 of these. This is what I'll be using. It's an insulated terminal where all you have to do is just put in the wire and crimp it, and that's about it. But yeah, as you see, I'm not using any. This is just to show you guys how it's done. So first thing first, I'll explain to you guys this. This is basically a big switch. It's an ignition protected switch. What happens is, if there's too much current or too much ampere, more than 100 amp, it will just cut off. And anything at all, if in emergency cases anything were to caught on fire, or anything is short circuit or anything, you can just come up from the car and press this, and it will cut off the current to all your applications. And this is very important. You will definitely want this. And basically, here's the battery input. Make sure you use like 2 gauge or 4 gauge, or even 0 gauge is fine. You got to make sure, it depends how long the cable that you're pulling from the battery. also you got to remember that the longer the cable is, the thicker the gauge has to be. If it's just like a fit, 4 gauge is fine. And then this is the output where it goes to this fuse box. I got most of this from AliExpress, guys. You can just get them and order them. I'll have them for sale as well for anyone in Malaysia that you guys just want to get it from me. I mean, it's much more faster. You don't have to wait for like a month. Even this relay box took me like, this one took me almost a month plus to get them. So yeah, I'll be selling them as well. So this is a fuse box where all the battery power output will go through the fuse and it will come out here. So as you can see, the relay have 4 wires. The red one, alright, to identify which one goes to the fuse box is basically the one terminal that is not actually the same direction with the rest. As you can see here, this terminal is flat, right? And this one is more like horizontal, and this one is vertical. So this is the one that you use to always take current from the battery. And these two center one here, the black and blue, alright, this one goes to your ignition power and ground. It doesn't matter which one is which, you can just vice versa, it works as well. And this one goes to your application, basically your fan or your nitrous solenoid or your water methanol injection pump, right? So as you can see, the red ones I have here is all taking battery power from the fuse box, and the black one is basically just ground for your ignition switch. The blue one is the accessory or ignition switch power, and the yellow one is where all the battery output will be going to your nitrous solenoid or methanol injection pump or your fan. So what I did was, from one fuse I have the ground, the ignition powered, and also the output from the battery to your application. I do this that way. I know this tree is connected to this fuse and the other tree is connected to this fuse. If you guys realize, this one is a little bit unique. For the ground and the ignition power, I both connected it to 2 wires into one terminal. That is because I'm using a PSN-1. It's an Innovate Motorsport Nitrous controller. Basically, this controller will activate the nitrous solenoid at a certain RPM, and it will also cut off the nitrous if the air fuel ratio is above certain threshold that I set it, or a certain PSI in the bottle. Let's say if the bottle is below 900 PSI, yeah, it will just automatically cut off. Because, well, anything below 900 PSI, you wouldn't really make enough power. You want to make sure that your bottle have adequate pressure. So yep, and this is what I connected it. That way the controller will actually activate this both solenoid. One is the nitrous solenoid and one more is for the fuse solenoid. I'm running a wet injection. So basically it's much more better to have these 2 wires connected together, because well, the controller only comes with 2 wires, well, the ground and the ignition power from the controller itself. But for the application for the solenoids, the output from the battery, yeah, you want to separate them. You never want to actually join them, because certain terminal blocks only accept probably, like, it depends on the terminal block. Some terminal blocks accept 15 ampere, some 25 ampere. So you want to make sure you separate them. That way it doesn't get burned or overheat and stuff like that. Here I have is it's just a normal toggle switch. Basically I have a switch in the cockpit as well, in the dashboard. Why I have a switch is because I want to make sure that if I would not to want to use the nitrous, or I would not want to use the methanol injection and stuff like that, I could just turn it off. And what you want to do is you want to make sure that you power this on ground. You never want to run your ignition or accessory power to your toggle switch. This is because you don't want to be pulling the accessories or ground wire, accessories or ignition wire throughout the entire car, you know, because that would risk if in case the wire get cut or sliced and start touching the ground on the body, and you probably like short all these electronics as well. So always make sure that you just pull up the ground wiring, you know, because if it gets cut, it's fine, you know. If it touches the car's body or anything, it's fine. So yep, make sure all this ground will be connected to the switch, and the output from the switch will be to any part of the car chassis as well, to ground them. Also, if you guys can see, there are red LEDs on the fuse box, and what does this red LED shows is that in case if any of the application wasn't working and the fuse got burned, it will light up a red LED here. So that way I won't really have to manually just pull up the fuse every single time to check, you know, is it not working and stuff like that. So it's really good feature. If you get any fuse box, make sure they have red LEDs. That way if any of the fuse actually blows up, yeah, it will just indicate and show like, oh okay, yeah, this fuse is blown, that's a red LED there. So it's pretty useful. And also you want to make sure that you store this anywhere in the car as long as it's protected, you know. What I did was, on the Audi, above the fuse box, there's no cover on it, so I'm going to cut up a few pieces of 2-3 mm acrylic and just, you know, make a cover on the box, so you know it's well protected, so no water can get in and, you know, destroy any application as well. Alright guys, the last thing that I have here, if you guys can see there's an empty space here, well, I have a terminal block, something like this, but basically it's where I'm going to have the ignition power output wire cable. It's going to come to this fuse box and it's going to be screwed it to the terminal block, and it comes out 4 to 5, I'm sorry, I can't remember, but I think it's probably 5, I guess. So as soon as you wire one terminal, it's gonna power up all 5 blocks of terminal. That way I can just, you know, bring up all the terminal wire blocks here. I don't have to run all 5 wires to it, and it's much more easier in case in the future if I need to wire up anything in the engine bay or in the car, I can just pull up the ignition power up from here. Most of the guys, they like to use is a fuse cable adapter. Sadly I don't have them here at the moment. As you guys know, like I said earlier, due to the COVID-19 and the virus, everything is locked down, so my shipment is probably delayed as well. This is the last thing that I have, and yep. Alright guys, that's about it. I'm pretty sure I covered everything you need to know how to make your own custom relay box. It's pretty simple, to be honest, but if you guys have any additional questions, do feel free to leave a comment and I'll try my very best to reply every one of them. Also, do not forget to subscribe guys. I'll try to make as much videos as I can in the near future. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you guys for watching.